Hello Darts Nutz, welcome to Darts Review channel. So in this video I'm having a look at another item that was sent to me from Cuesoul recently when I showed you the unboxing, and these are the new Cuesoul ROST T19 or AK57 integrated stem and flight. So what they've done with these is they've took the AK7 shaft and they've integrated it with the AK5 flight. So a bit like the Harrow's Carbon ST, which is like two different materials, this is kind of like along the same lines. The AK7 shafts were like quite a firm shaft and the flights were like a softish plastic. So you've got a firm shaft, sounds a bit rude that, and a soft flight. And these are available in various colours and 3 sizes. I've got the medium and the large, but I'll put up some information on the colours and the sizes, and I'll show you them when I unbox them as well. But on the Cuesoul site at the present time, these are retailing for £13.79, but they may be cheaper when they come to the UK, because I know the ROST flights or the AK5 flights on Darts Corner, they're about £4 cheaper than what they are on the Cuesoul site. So I should imagine they'll end up being cheaper when they come to the UK shops, but they're not in the UK shops at present, so I'm just giving you the price that's on the Cuesoul site. So let's check them out. So this is the picture with all the various colours, and this is some info that I've taken from the Cuesoul site. So if you want to read that, just pause the video, and that's all the dimensions and the weight of each size. So I've got the medium and the large. Now as you can see, it comes in a rather nice box, and there's a little hole on the bottom, so you just push that and the tray with the flights comes out. Now as far as I'm aware, the ROST T19 are in a big wing shape. I'm not sure whether they've got any other shapes at the moment. I think it's just this particular shape. So if you look and compare that to like a normal standard shape, it's kind of like a squarish flight shape. So you can see that there, and we'll have a more closer look just now, but that's the medium and that's the large. So just as a quick comparison, I'll just move them out of the way for now. So I'll get a normal nylon stem with a flight. So I'm not sure which one's the closest to each. So that's a medium stem, and that's an in-between stem. So it looks like the small is closest to an in-between setup. Let's see what it's like again. Yeah, so I would say small is closest to an in-between setup, and maybe the large is closest to a medium setup. Yeah. Just move it up a little bit so you can see it. So that's how they compare to like a normal setup. As you can see though, the medium setup is just a little bit longer, but there's a slight difference in all. Right, so we'll have a close look now, and this is the small, which I think is closest to in between, like I showed you. And like I said, it's a integration of the AK7 stems with the AK5 flights. So this is my darts that I've still got the Terror Plus set up like I had after I'd done the review. I've been using them quite regular, and they've been working well with the Harrow's Predators. As you can see, they're still fitted on them. So this setup is a little bit longer than that one. I can't remember, that must have been the shorter version. So that's why I'm going to stick with this small version, because I think it might be closest to what I've been using. But as you can see, the stems are the same kind of structure. They've got that kind of hexagonal section on the bottom and quite stiff. So stiff there, but as you notice, it's kind of integrated into the flight with this like green section cut through it and molded into it. So although it's stiff on the base, as you move along it kind of feels like it gets more flexible, and then when you get to the actual flight itself, it is quite a soft feeling flight. And as is always the case with the molded flights, you get the perfect 90-degree angle, and you've got a little bit of reinforced section on the top leading edge and a little bit on the leading front wings. Don't think there's anything on the side there, but I think it still follows the same pattern as the original ROST flights. But as you can see, it is quite flexy and fairly soft, so it's going to be interesting to see how they work. But quite a nice looking stem and flight. So there you go. Right, I think the Cuesoul site has already got the weight of them on, but I'm just going to do them quickly. So that's the small, that's 1.33 grams, and that's the large, that's 1.46 grams, and we'll compare that to a nylon stem with a standard 100 micron flight. So that's a medium stem, so that's 2.05, so that's heavier, and that's an in-between stem, again 1.86, so that's heavier than the other two, and that's a short stem, 1.57. so it just shows you these are quite a lightweight, integrated, all in one stem and flight. I have actually used these for, I don't know, just over a week I think, maybe about 9 or 10 hours worth. So I'm just doing a few throws here just to talk about them basically. You're not really going to learn anything just from me throwing them. It's something that you've got to play with for a while and then see how you get on. But the setup that I was using before, like I said, it was the Terror Plus, and I was using that setup with these Predators ever since I did the review of them, and they're still in pretty good condition, and I think they've been working well with the Predators. It's just a very slightly shorter setup, but it's a little bit heavier than these ROST. When I first picked up the ROST and I first threw them, I skied it right up. It just felt really light. It was kind of a weird feel at first. I just think it was because slightly different setup basically, and usually when you've tried something different after you've been using something else for a long time, it just feels a little bit weird. I think I've got a little bit more used to them since then, but I think on the whole I maybe still prefer the Terror Plus setup, which is kind of contradictory because I think when I did the Terror Plus, I think I mentioned that I preferred the ROST over to the original Terrors. But for whatever reason, that setup has just been working so much better with the Predators, and it still remains to be seen whether or not these are going to work in the same way. Treble 5. But like I say, there's not much point in me throwing anymore. You're not going to really learn anything from that, because obviously I'm going to have to update later on after I've played with them a bit longer. But I need to do an update on the Terror Plus as well. But first impressions, and from the time that I've used them, they do seem quite nice and seem to be fairly durable. I've just got a little bit of roughness on a couple of the wings, nothing like major. I haven't noticed any like like drastic like springiness causing deflections or anything like that. Like I say, it was just the slight feeling of the lighter weight and the slight floatiness of the dart with them on. Again, that may be to do with the shape as well. I'm just trying to see, yeah, because it is a different shaped flight to the one that I've been using, so that could have been another reason for it as well. But I'll update at some point in the future, but at the moment I'm quite happy with them. It just, like I say, it might take a little bit longer to play with them and see how I get on. So that's about as much as I can do in this video, but if you fancy a combination of the ROST AK5 and the AK7s, it's definitely quite a neat one. Nice looking flights. I think maybe if they had done other shapes and I might have tried one that was the same shape as them, it may have suited me better. But also the length is a little bit shorter on the Terror Plus setup, so again that might be why these darts were flying quite well with them. Who knows? But there you go, that's the ROST T19. Hope you've enjoyed the video and look out for a future update. I'll see you on the next one. Happy darting.